Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure review. Okay, so today is January 26th, 2024. Earlier today, I was at my local Target doing some grocery shopping. And of course, I had to go down the toy aisle and I came across this. The Jim Gordon as Batman, but this is the McFarlane Platinum Edition, as you can see with the sticker right there. So this figure did come out previously, and the first release was this guy, which I've reviewed on my channel. This was the first release of the figure. This is Jim Gordon as Batman from Batman Endgame. Or if you remember the comic book story, Super Heavy, it's when Jim Gordon takes up the mantle of Batman when Bruce Wayne is supposedly dead. Beautiful action figure. I think this is an excellent, underrated piece, especially if you never read the comic book. You don't really know what you're missing because it was a fun story. And this is such a great version of Batman, and the figure is top-notch. So, being a fan of the comic and of this character, as soon as I saw this at my local Target, I just swooped it up, and I had to have it. It's the same figure. The only thing different is that it's kind of this weird, like, metallic bright blue, which is not accurate to the comic book whatsoever. The black costume here is what you actually see in the comic. The Platinum Editions, I think they're kind of seen as chase action figures in the McFarlane line. Sometimes, you know, they're repaints. Other times, I think maybe they have maybe a different head sculpt or a different accessory. But in the case of Gordon, you know, it's a completely different color scheme. And the one thing that really sold me on this is that it kind of took me back to the old days when Kenner and Hasbro had the Batman license. I remember years ago, and when I say years ago, I'm talking like late 90s, Kenner had a line of Batman Beyond action figures. It was to kind of like coincide with the Batman Beyond animated series that was seen on the WB. Trying to find like a Batman Beyond figure that looked like what you saw in the cartoon was like almost impossible. You know, it was Terry McGinnis in the black and red Batman Beyond costume. That figure was always hard to find. You know, it's so easy to find like some of the weird like repainted versions or different themed versions of Batman Beyond. You know, like there was a white one, there was like a shiny electric blue one, and that's the figure that this reminded me of. You know, as soon as I saw this, it really took me back to kind of like my college years, and I'm like, man, I really kind of want this figure. And the color scheme also kind of reminds me of that Deadpool X-Men figure we got in the Marvel Legends line maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. It's Deadpool, but in the blue and yellow X-Men color scheme. This is a nice looking figure. Like I said, the color scheme is very different than the one you see in the comic book with much more traditional black and gold. You know, the shade of blue here is really, really eye-catching. It's very vibrant, almost iridescent. So we're not going to unbox this because, you know, it's the chase, and I'm not sure if I'm going to sell this down the road, or I have no reason to unbox it pretty much just because I have the much more true to form comic book one. So if you didn't watch the first video, at the very least, we're going to take this out just so I can show you the articulation scheme and give you an idea of what this figure is all about. You know, since it's the exact same figure, it's just a different, you know, paint job. Alright, so I got this figure at my local FYE at my mall. FYE, if you don't have one of those stores, it's an acronym for your entertainment. It's a pop culture store. They sell like DVDs, Funko Pops, all sorts of anime and manga memorabilia. And then here we have the Jim Gordon Batman trading card display stand. You have the alternate Jim Gordon portrait. If you read the story, you know it's kind of like a younger Jim Gordon that's portrayed. Okay, so real quick, also let's take a look at compare the accessories. So the original figure had a silver Batarang gun, which we see here, and then the black hands. The Platinum Edition has like a bright light blue silver Batarang gun, and then kind of like the electric blue hands for the figure. Like I pointed out, the figures, they're identical. You know, there's nothing different about them. You know, they have the same paint scheme, same sculpts. The articulation on this figure is where it really shines. I think it's a nice figure. The head looks down, it looks up pretty decent. You know, everything about this guy moves really smooth. You know, there's some McFarlane figures that even though they're well articulated, it's hard to pose them. This guy wants to be posed. He's very much like the that Deathstroke figure that came out last year, which I just really adored. I think that one was great. But yeah, this is a great figure. I think it's kind of underrated because it's not necessarily the iconic Batman everyone's familiar with. This is more so kind of like a love letter to fans of the comic books. But it's great. The articulation's excellent. It's, you know, well presented. I think the buck they used really captures the slimmer Gordon that's we see in the storyline. And the head's awesome also. Like, if you're not too keen on some of the other Batman heads for another figure, swap this head onto that because I think this is like a perfect Batman head. You know, it's awesome. It looks great. And the body's nice too. It's very bare. So if you're a customizer or a kit basher, you know, you can use this buck as a base for, like, you know, whatever custom you could dream up of. So yeah, it's a great figure. You know, if you happen to run into the Platinum Edition in the wild, pick it up. You know, the Platinums are kind of seen as chase figures. You know, they're kind of far and few between. You know, we don't get them very often. Or they're kind of few and far far between. I got that mixed up. But yeah, great figure. So, all right, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.